What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 206 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my bedroom. And today I'm giving you all the Week 13 recap around the NFL. A lot of close games, a couple overtime games, just a lot of fun stuff happening. So let's dive into last Thursday's game. We got my Cowboys beating the Seahawks 41-35. Dak Prescott, 299 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. CeeDee Lamb, 12 catches for 116 and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks each had touchdown catches, and Tony Pollard with a touchdown run. As for Geno Smith of the Seahawks, 334 passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a rushing touchdown. DK Metcalf had 6 catches for $134 and 3 scores. And the rookie Zach Charbonnet had a rushing touchdown. So the Cowboys get their 4th straight win here. It was a Thursday night thriller. They're now 9-3. The offense balled out for 435 yards. They ran for 136, 8 of 14 on third down. They had 41 points and no turnovers, and Dak was just special. Is he the MVP? We'll see, because he's playing at a very high level right now. And I love Jake Ferguson because he wanted all the smoke with Jamal Adams. He even scored on him in that game. CeeDee Lamb was spectacular, and the offense outscores the Seahawks 14-0 in the fourth quarter. It was the offense versus the Seahawks, Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys defense. Mike McCarthy had some bad calls. When they were down 28-26 in the third, a touchdown makes it 28-20 in the third. A touchdown made it 28-26. They don't go for 2. And then a field goal range. They're in field goal range down 28-27, and they throw an incomplete pass on 4th and 2. And not to mention late in the game, they throw the ball for the end zone on third down when the Seahawks have no timeouts instead of running the clock. The defense gave up over 400 yards and 35 points. They had a lot of penalties, 127 penalty yards on the Dallas defense and Dallas in general. Most of them were on the Dallas defense. And just Deron Bland had a very rough game as well. The kid had a target on his back. He was getting a lot of media press for what he's been doing with the interceptions, but he'll learn from this. And also, they were awful on third down, but amazing on fourth down. They bullied all game. They were getting bullied all game, but in those last few minutes, they had huge stops, especially on fourth down. They recorded a sack and an interception by Bland, and the Cowboys finally beat a team over 500. So let's hear what the Dorks have to say about that. As for the Seahawks, they had a solid game. They fought their tail off. Their offense, 406 total yards. They struggled running the ball for 72 yards. They were great on third down, going 9 of 14. However, they were awful on fourth down, going 0 for 3, which costed them this game. The defense did have 4 sacks, but they had no turnovers. They gave up 400-plus yards and 41 points. And like Dallas defense, had a lot of penalties. The Seahawks had 10 penalties for 130, with at least 90% of them coming on the defense. A side note is that penalties on both sides were fair, but wow, it was just super annoying to see that much laundry thrown in that game. Pete Carroll always has his team playing hard, though, and the Seahawks are now 6-6 with 3 straight losses. And here's a fun fact for you. This game is the 5th game in NFL history with no punts in it. And also, this was a fun, close, and entertaining game. It's always a mess when these two teams meet. On to the Sunday games. Colts beat the Titans 31-28 in overtime. Gardner Minshew, 312 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 1 fumble. Michael Pittman Jr., 11 catches for 105 and a TD. Alec Pierce, 3 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. So Will Levis, the rookie for the Titans, 224 passing, a touchdown, no picks, and a fumble. Derrick Henry, 102 rushing plus 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins, 5 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. So the Colts sweep their divisional rival for the season after a back-and-forth battle that ended in overtime. The Colts moved to 7-5 with a 4-game win streak. No Jonathan Taylor means the run game was bad with just 55 yards. The offense, 367 total yards. Minshew was great, though. They overcame a 10-point deficit, a fumble inside the Tennessee red zone, a pick 2 where the interception got turned back on the 2-point conversion, and the game-winning TD drive in overtime. And the special teams, they made noise, too. Let's not forget them. 2 blocked punts. 1 ran back for a touchdown. The defense had 6 sacks and 2 fumbles. And the head coach, Shane Steichen, very underrated. He's got his team playing great for him right now and could potentially win Coach of the Year. As for the Titans, too many errors. The fumbles, the special teams miscues. They missed the extra point late in the game that would have sent them a point above the Colts, but instead that's what pretty much forced overtime. And the offense had 401 total yards. They ran for 177, but they were 6 of 17 on third down. The defense had 3 sacks, 2 fumbles, but they couldn't stop the Colts wide receivers. The Titans are now 4-8. Next, the Falcons beat the Jets 13-8. Desmond Ridder, 121 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Michael Pruitt had a touchdown catch. As for Tim Boyle of the Jets, 148 passing, no touchdowns, one pick. And he was benched for Trevor Siemian, who had 66 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but a fumble. And as for the rookie Xavier Gibson, 5 catches for 77 yards. So the Falcons are back at 500 with a 6-6 record. The offense wasn't really there. 211 total yards, 90 rush yards, 414 on third down, but they didn't turn the ball over, which Falcons fans wanted to see from Desmond Ridder. The defense had 4 sacks, 2 fumbles, and a pick. They gave up only 8 points. And the Falcons take care of business. They currently hold that division lead in the NFC South. The Jets offense, though, was putrid. 276 total. Couldn't run the ball yet again for 62 yards. Not to mention 2 of 15 on third down. Boyle was benched for Siemian, who didn't look that much better. Both had a turnover. The second quarter, Dalvin Cook fumble led to an Atlanta touchdown. The offensive line was bad again. A lot of mistakes, 11 penalties for 71 yards. Just an ugly game all around for the Jets. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I don't even bother returning to this team from my injury. The defense did all that they could. 3 sacks, 1 safety. Only 13 points allowed, but allowed less than 215 yards. But the Jets now spiral, losing their 5th straight game. They go to 4-8. Next, the Lions beat the Saints 33-28. Jared Goff, 213 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The rookie Sam Laporta, 9 catches, 140 in the score. Amon-Ra St. Brown with a touchdown catch, and David Montgomery with a touchdown run. As for Derek Carr of the Saints, he had 226 passing, a touchdown, a pick, a fumble, left with a shoulder injury. Alvin Kamara had 51 rushing yards and 2 scores. He also had 6 catches for 58 yards, and Chris Olave 5 catches for 114. So Lions bounced back to go 9-3. They dominated right off the jump. They had a 21-0 lead in the first quarter. It got dicey when they were leading 27-21 at the end of the third, but they stayed resilient and, they did not choke, which the old Lions would have. Their offense, 353 total yards, 142 rushing, no turnovers. The defense had 2 sacks, 1 pick, 1 fumble. And the Saints were able to rally back from that 21-point deficit, but they couldn't seal the deal. Early in that fourth quarter, the Saints are down 27-21. They're in their own territory and fumbled the snap, which eventually led to a Lions touchdown, and that was a huge game changer. The offense had 380 total yards, 113 rushing, 6 of 12 on third down. They had 2 costly turnovers, though, as their defense had a sack, no turnovers. They gave up 33 points for 350 plus. And on top of that, Carr is hurt again. Not looking good for the Saints at 5-7. Next game, the Texans beat the Broncos 22-17. The rookie C.J. Stroud, 274 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Nico Collins, 9 catches, 191 and a touchdown. Dameon Pierce with a touchdown run. Russell Wilson, 186 passing, a touchdown, 3 picks, and a rushing touchdown. Cortland Sutton with a touchdown catch. So the Texans win a big game here. They expand to 7-5. After a loss last week, the Texans bounce back with a win. Statement game, in my opinion, considering the playoff implications involved. They showed that they are battle-tested. They had a 13-0 lead. It was cut to 22-17 early in the fourth. Defense made plays with 2 picks in that quarter. Also had another pick in the third quarter. They had 3 sacks as well. And the offense did their thing. 379 total, 89 rushing yards. They were bad on third down, but they didn't turn the ball over. The rookie continues to impress, and it's sad to see his rookie wide receiver, his weapon, Tank Dell, done for the season with a broken fibula. And honestly, place your bets for C.J. Stroud as a dark horse for MVP because he's really tearing it up. Broncos 5-game Linsanity run. It comes to an end. Their offense, 304 total yards. They ran for 118, but they were awful on third down, 0 for 11. In the final 16 minutes of the game, Russell Wilson had 3 picks. One final one. The final pick was in the end zone with a chance to win the game. He's been great so far this season, avoiding turnovers, but not in this game. The defense had 4 sacks, but they couldn't force a turnover. The Broncos are 6-6. Next, the Chargers beat the Patriots 6-0. Justin Herbert, 212 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Keenan Allen, 5 catches for 58 yards. Bailey Zappi of the Pats, 141 passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Zeke Elliott, 52 rushing yards. So the Chargers get the shutout on the road in a very close baseball score. That's what you would call it, 6-0, right? The 3-game losing streak is snapped, and they are now 5-7, and it was absolutely no offense in this game. They had 241 total yards, 29 rushing yards, 5 of 15 on third, no touchdowns. and at least had no turnovers in this game. And their best offensive player was their kicker, Cameron Dicker, who went 2 of 2 on field goals for those 6 points. Tried telling people this postseason that Colin Moore isn't going to be missed from the Cowboys offense. He's very overrated in my opinion. And as for the Pats, their offense was just flat out bad too. They were outrushed by the Chargers 148-29. I'm sorry, they outrushed the Chargers 148-29, a difference of 114. But they had 284 total yards, 414 on third, 1 of 3 on fourth down, a costly fumble, and 0 points, dropped a donut. So I guess you could say this was more of a defensive battle. The Chargers defense, 5 sacks, a fumble, under 300 yards, 0 points allowed. The Pats defense stopped the run, but they couldn't get any sacks or turnovers or help from the offense. The Pats lose their 5th straight game. They plummet to 2-10, and a 6-0 score is just wild to me. Watching paint dry must have been more fun. The next game we have here, Cardinals beat the Steelers 24-10. Kyler Murray, 145 passing, a touchdown, no picks. James Conner, 105 rushing and 2 scores. Trey McBride, the tight end, 8 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. As for Kenny Pickett of the Steelers, 70 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but he sprained his ankle in the first half, so in comes Mitch Trubisky, 117 passing, a touchdown, no picks, and a fumble, and Deontay Johnson with a touchdown catch. So the Cardinals are 3-10 with a big upset win on the road. Their offense, 295 total yards, ran for 150, 17-10 on third down. They didn't turn the ball over. Their defense had no sacks, but they forced a fumble, and they were great on third and fourth down, allowed just 10 points. The Cardinals dominated the entire game versus a potential playoff team, as the score was 24-3 at one point in this game. Bad news for the Steelers is that their starting quarterback, Kenny Pickett, is banged up again, could possibly miss the rest of the season. The keys to the playoffs are now in the hands of the backup veteran QB, Mitch Trubisky, and will he guide them to the playoffs? The offense, 317 total yards, with the run game going strong for 130, but they went 4 of 11 on third down, 0 of 1 on fourth down. They fumbled at their own 10-yard line. That led to a touchdown for the Cardinals, and that won't contribute to a win. Penalties don't contribute to wins either. They had 9 for 77 yards. The Steelers are 7-5 with this loss. Next, the Dolphins beat the Commanders 45-15. Tua Tagovailoa, 280 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tyreek Hill, 5 catches, 157 and 2 touchdowns. The rookie running back Devon Achane had 73 rushing yards and 2 scores. It's his first game back since October 8th. And Raheem Mostert with a rushing touchdown. Sam Howell of the Commanders, 127 passing, no touchdowns, 1 picks, 2 rushing touchdowns. And Curtis Samuel, 4 catches for 65 yards. So the Dolphins got a blowout win. They are now 9-3. The offense lit it up with 406 total yards, 123 rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns, 5 touchdowns total, 7-13 on third down, 2 of 2 on fourth down, no turnovers. Tyreek Hill is just a video game out there. MVP, could be the MVP in my opinion. The defense had 3 sacks, a pick 6, gave up less than 270 yards for 15 points. And the defense is getting better every single week. As for the Commanders, they looked very sorry out there. 265 total. They had 138 rushing yards, 6 of 14 on third down. The defense had no sacks, no turnovers, 400-plus yards dropped on them, embarrassed by Tyreek Hill. They trailed 31-7 at one point at halftime. I expect firing soon for Washington, and the Commanders are now 4-9 with 4 straight losses. Next, the Bucs beat the Panthers 21-18. Baker Mayfield, 202 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Mike Evans, 7 catches for 162 and a score, and Rachaad White, 84 rushing yards and a touchdown. As for the rookie Bryce Young, 178 passing, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Chuba Hubbard, 104 rushing and 2 touchdowns. And the Bucs are back in the NFC South division winner conversation, plus a playoff spot after this win versus their divisional opponent to go 5-7. The offense, 330 total yards, ran for 128. And congrats to Mike Evans on his 10th straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's hit 1K plus yards every season of his career, and he's made it work with a random amount of cornerbacks, everywhere from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady, now to Baker Mayfield. It doesn't matter. He's a humble wide receiver. He lets his game do the talking every year. And as for the defense, 4 sacks, a pick, stellar on third and fourth down. The Bucs still have hope for the playoffs. Do not count them out yet. As for the Panthers, they kept it close, but eventually showed us why they're the worst team in the NFL. They were taking sacks, turning the ball over, drop passes, 7 penalties for 62 yards. The run game had 133, while the pass game was just bad. 311 total yards on offense, 3 of 15 on third down, 1 of 3 on fourth down. The defense had a sack, an interception, but surrendered 330 yards. The Panthers dropped 5 straight losses now. They're now 1-11 and are the first team mathematically eliminated from the playoffs in the NFL. Next, the Niners beat the Eagles 42-19. Brock Purdy, 314 passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Deebo Samuel, 4 catches, 116 and 2 scores, and a rushing touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, 93 rushing yards and a touchdown. Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings with touchdown catches each. As for Jalen Hurts, 298 passing, a touchdown, no picks, a rushing score. Devontae Smith had 9 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 8 catches for 114. So, the Niners make a huge statement with this blowout win on the road. In such a hostile environment, the Niners stretched their win streak to 4 games and now are 9-3. The first quarter, they struggled. They weren't that great. But, for quarters 2 through 4, they outscored the Eagles 42-13. The offense, 460 total yards. Run game with 146. 8-11 on third down. No turnovers. Great balance on offense all around. The defense didn't force turnovers. However, they had 3 sacks and stopped the run. Niners avenged their NFC Championship game loss with this win. They backed up all their trash talk this week. They even wore all black before the game, implicating that it's a funeral, especially Deebo Samuel. He had a lot to say after the NFC Championship game, and he had a lot to say before this game, but he backed it up with 138 total yards plus 3 total touchdowns. Brock Purdy's performance could seal him the MVP from this game. And the Niners just dominating showed why they're the best team in the NFC, arguably the best in the NFL. They definitely dominated the NFC. The number 1 record in the league, they dominated the number 1 record in the league, dropped 42 on them on the road. They also dropped 42 on my Cowboys, who are the 2nd and 3rd best team in this league, arguably. In the conference. And they outscored both those teams 84-29. The Niners talked the talk and walked the walk. Meanwhile, the Eagles got punched in the mouth at home. They didn't back up their talk at all. The Niners made them pay. The offense didn't turn the ball over, but they 8 of 15 on third down, 360 total yards, but an awful run game with 46 yards. Outrushed 146-46 by the Niners, which is a 100-yard difference. And the defense unable to stop anyone. 2 sacks. They had no turnovers. They gave up 450-plus yards. The funniest part about this game is the Eagles security guard, Dom DeSandro, shoved 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw and got ejected. I don't know why he shoved him. I don't know what his problem was. He should have just stuck to his job doing security. And the Eagles' 5-game win streak is over. They are now 10-2. Next game, the Rams beat the Browns 36-19. Matt Stafford, 279 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The rookie Puka Nacua, 4 catches, 105 and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp with a touchdown catch, along with Demarcus Robinson as well. And Kyron Williams, 88 rushing yards for a touchdown. As for Joe Flacco, the Browns, 254 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Harrison Bryant, the tight end, with a touchdown catch, and Jerome Ford with a receiving touchdown. So the Rams are back at 500, recorded their 3rd straight win at 6-6. The offense, 399 total yards, 120 rushing, no turnovers. The defense had 2 sacks, 1 pick. And since Matt Stafford returned from his thumb injury, the Rams have looked very solid. They're on the cusp of making the playoffs in the NFC. And as for the Browns, they kept it close. They trailed 20-13 after the 3rd quarter, but in the 4th, they were outscored 16-6. The Browns signed former Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco last week. He hasn't played in over a year since he was on the Jets since last season, and he was very impressive on Sunday. The offense, 341 total yards. They had a tough day running, though, with 87 rushing yards. They were also 7 of 16 on third down, but 0 of 2 on fourth down. Defense didn't show up. They had no sacks, no turnovers. They gave up close to 400 yards, and they were bad against the pass and the run game. Defense does not look good on the road as they compared to home. And with all the injuries to the Browns, they were smart for signing a veteran quarterback like Flacco, especially when they are in the playoff contention. The Browns are 7-5. Next, the Packers beat the Chiefs 27-19. Jordan Love, 267 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Christian Watson, 7 catches, 71 yards, and 2 scores. As for Patrick Mahomes, 210 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Isaiah Pacheco, 110 rushing, and a touchdown. So in the NFC playoff picture, the Packers are currently the 7th seed at 6-6. They've won 3 straight games. They've won their last 4 out of 5 games. And this being the biggest game of them all with a huge upset at home. The offense, 396 total. The run game had 129, 5 of 10 on third down, no turnovers against a solid defense. And speaking of defense, their defense had 3 sacks, 1 pick. They only gave up 19 points. And it seems like it just seems like the Packers found their quarterback in Jordan Love. After a rough start, he's finally rolling. And can the Packers hang on to this 7th seed? We will see about it. As for the Chiefs, just a disappointing loss for them. Their offense had 358 total yards. They ran for 148, 7-11 on third down. The drops continue, though, and same with the penalties as well. The defense is a solid unit, but they were bad this game. 2 sacks, no turnovers, close to giving up 400 yards as well. And the Chiefs offense needs to get it together. This isn't the scary and dominant Kansas City offenses we've seen over the years. The Chiefs are 8-4. The final game, the Monday game, was a good game. The Bengals beat the Jags 34-31 in OT. Jake Browning, 354 passing, a touchdown, no picks, a rushing touchdown. Jamar Chase, 11 catches, 149 and a touchdown. Joe Mixon with 2 rushing touchdowns. As for Trevor Lawrence on the Jags, 258 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a rushing score. He did leave with an ankle injury in the 4th quarter. Evan Ingram, the tight end, 9 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Parker Washington, a rookie, had a touchdown catch, and Travis Etienne, touchdown rush. So this was just a huge win for the Bengals. They stay alive in the AFC playoff mix at 6-6. The offense, 503 total yards. The run game got going with 156, 8 of 14 on third down. And the backup quarterback, Jake Browning, was on fire. 376 total yards, 2 total touchdowns with no turnovers, only 5 incompletions. And the defense didn't force a turnover, but they had 4 sacks and stopped the run. In my opinion, even with Burrow done for the season, they still have a playoff shot with Browning. They're right in the cusp of it. And it was a back-and-forth touchdown-for-touchdown game. Jags would score, Bengals would score, Jags would score, etc. But it was Browning who was able to duel it out. He was able to hang his head in there and get it done. Jags had a tough loss. Their offense, 393 total yards, no turnovers, but they were 6 of 15 on third down and couldn't stop the run with 71 yards. They couldn't run the ball with just 71 yards. And the most important, Trevor Lawrence goes down with an ankle injury with 5 minutes remaining in the game. After taking a sack, he was getting up limping. It was ugly. It was tough to watch, and let's hope that he's okay. The defense had 2 sacks, an interception off a failed Tyler Boyd trick play, and they got torched for 500 yards, though, and 34 points. The Jaguars are now 8-4. So that's it for the Week 13 recap around the NFL. Let me know what your guys' favorite game was, your least favorite game. Give me some feedback. Let's talk some football. And remember, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow me on my Instagram page below. Take care. Have a wonderful day.